Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Mates video. I am Matthew, of course, joined by a wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, great to see you. Today we're recording this on Monday, the 15th of March, 2021, and this is the day where the Academy Award nominations for the year have been announced. I'm going to pass over to Callum to explain the kind of things we're going to be talking about in today's video and breaking down the nominations. So yeah, off to you, man.
So today we'll be going through all 8 of the nominated Best Picture films. We haven't seen all of them. By admission, we've seen 3 out of 8. But before the actual date of the event, I'm sure we'll be watching the rest of the 5, and then hopefully making an updated video once we've seen all of them. So we'll be going through all the nominated films, talking about whether they're worthy of the nomination, and maybe bringing in some that we think could have subbed in as a better choice. We'll also be picking what we think should have won amongst all of the cinema of the last year, and what we think will win amongst the films that are nominated this year.
Yes, exactly. So it's the classic. If you're a Grace Randolph fan, she does a should win and will win. No, wait, it's a yeah. It is that, isn't
Yeah,
it? It is should
I
win
think
will win.
so.
So yeah, we'll be breaking that down, and I'm sure if we have time, we'll probably be breaking down other categories and with films that we've seen, because there's a few films that have been nominated for different categories that we've reviewed. So there is as well this year and last year. But yeah, just before we kick off today's episode, thank you very much everyone who supported us recently. I know, Callum, I really do appreciate that massively. And if you want to let us know your comments on the Academy Award nominations, be sure to let us know in the comment section down below. We'd love to read them. And of course, our time codes and our email, moviematespodcast@gmail.com, is in the description. So I suppose, mate, if you want me to read out the current nominations for Best Picture, then, mate, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
so
want to break them down one by one?
yeah, sure. So I'm just reading this off the Academy Awards website. So the first nomination here for Best Picture was The Father. Now, I wasn't actually aware of this one, but I think it stars. Does it star Anthony Hopkins?
Yes, and Olivia Colman as a father-daughter duo. He's sort of aging and has dementia or Alzheimer's, and she's sort of there to care for him. I don't know too much about the film, and I of course haven't seen it, but to me it seems like the most sort of sit down and chat kind of film.
Yeah,
Where the acting takes center stage over the story.
yeah,
Which to me sort
definitely.
of it makes me think it probably has more merit and chance in the acting categories more than it does as Best Picture.
For sure. I know the Academy definitely like those kind of films where it's sort of these characters, very respected actors in their own right. Obviously, Olivia Colman, I think, won Best Actress last year. So I think she's one of those actresses they Academy absolutely love as well. And the British press that's definitely love her too. Rightly so, she's fantastic. So yeah, I think you're right. Probably will do really well in those acting categories. The second one
Did you want
is
to
oh, go ahead, mate. Yeah.
did you want to go through everything and then at the end say what we think
Yeah, that
will win?
sounds good. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds good. Yeah. Other ones, Judas and the Black Messiah, we have as well. Mank, Minari, Nomad Land, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7. Now, it's important to note, I suppose, we've reviewed 3 of those, I think. Yeah, we reviewed
Mhm.
3 of those, one of which was on the last podcast episode if you want to check that out. So, what's your overall thoughts on that slate, mate?
Well, I think overall, I think all the nominees, all in all, quality lineup. It might even be the best I've seen. I think this year, following a lot of controversy around award shows, I think I think all the awards shows are trying to prove that they're not racist or biased or
Yeah, they
and
are.
any kind of discriminatory adjective that could be used. Within this lineup, there isn't really like one rogue shout. I think there's reasoning behind all of them. And I haven't really heard a lot about say Minari. I understand its inclusion. Especially with it's also a film with a Korean cast, and following the success of Parasite last year, I think it's probably a worthy inclusion.
Yeah.
And that this is that was sort of my immediate reaction. Not knowing a lot about 5 out of 8 of them.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I think one thing it's abundant to be in this lineup. Obviously, in previous years, I think for the last couple of years, there's at least been one comic book style movie. Obviously, I think last year we had, or maybe the year before, it was Black Panther and then Joker, and obviously Logan had got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay as well. So that was becoming more and more popular. But obviously, with this year, with the lack of quality superhero films, I suppose you could say, but also just big blockbuster type films in general, I think this is a very suited lineup. It's a classic 2020 lineup in my opinion of films that were quite understated. Not a lot have been said about them. But I think, and interestingly, I think there is a couple of Netflix nominations in here. Obviously, Trial of Chicago 7 and Mank. I'm not sure if any of the other ones are Netflix originals. Do you know if any of them
Not to
are?
my knowledge.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, I think, what do you reckon about that? Because it's clear in the last couple of years, Netflix originals have become more and more popular, like a lot recently. Do you think that's nice to see?
Well, I think it's, another issue of, I mean, it's, I think it's like studio, but like the studio version of tokenism. I think,
Yeah,
I think they, they just like, let's choose for example, Trial of the Chicago 7. I think that's going to be like, this year's The Irishman. I think it's a great Netflix drama, but I think it's nominated to represent the streaming services. But in all honesty, I think the Academy doesn't really respect them.
yeah.
So I'd say, whilst it's a great film with a terrific ensemble, I'd say it has next to no chance of winning.
Yeah, and of course we'll go into what we think will win as well. And one film I think, well, I certainly was a little bit surprised at its inclusion. A great film though is Promising Young Woman. Now we had reviewed this about a month or two ago, and it's a very difficult film to talk about. Me, it's one of our shorter mini reviews, which is rare because usually mini reviews take up 40 minutes or whatever. But for us, it was
Mm.
a very short one. I think we both agreed a very thought-provoking film. What do you think about it being nominated here? Are you surprised?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was horrific and uncomfortable, but it was a necessary experience, because it was an education in 2 hours. And it had you evaluate, what people in society are capable of. But I agree with you. I didn't think it was going to be nominated, not because it was undeserving, but because, the Oscar has a history for snubbing incredible films. So I thought it was going to be, one that sort of got swept under the carpet because it was a difficult discussion to have.
Yeah, oh for sure. I mean, obviously, we kind of mentioned the overlap between these films and the nominations in other categories. Interestingly enough, Carey Mulligan got a really well-deserved nomination for Best Actress here. I think that might surprise me the most, given that Promising Woman, we didn't really expect to get a nomination really at all, maybe in some categories, but for Best Actress and Best Picture, one of the two biggest some of the two biggest categories, I think that's really a testament to how much of a great, worthwhile experience that film was, even though it's a very difficult watch. It's thought provoking, it's emotional, it makes you think about things. Yeah, and I think it's interesting as well. Viola Davis got the the best actress nomination for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Another performance I think we really liked. What do you think about that?
She's barely in it.
She is
Like
barely in
I
it.
would call it a
Yeah.
best supporting role,
Mhm.
if anything.
Yeah, I know. And obviously, in relation to that film, Chadwick Boseman got a nomination as well for Best Actor. I mean, I definitely think he should win that, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, just overall, buddy, do you have any further remarks on the Best Picture category before we think about who should win it and who will win it?
Just a couple, like a few sentences on each. When it comes to let's say Judas and the Black Messiah, strangely, two of the stars of that film, Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, have both been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. It's like, how can the
Two
two
leads of a
leads of a
film.
film be the two supporting actors? It's like, who do you think's the star of it then?
Bit of an
Like,
oxymoron
Lakeith
there, yeah.
Stanfield, I think is considered the lead, and then Daniel Kaluuya is is the supporting, but they've nominated both of them for the same award. I don't know how that's going to go. I mean, it's going to be difficult,
Yeah.
with the competition that is Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell about that film, it seems thrilling, and Daniel Kaluuya is sensational in anything he's in. So I think that must be great. Mank, Hollywood seems to love films about Hollywood. So I think this could
It
be
loves
this
itself.
could be a favorite to win, at least by the older members of the Academy. But based on the precedent set by the Golden Globes of it, losing every nomination that it had, I don't know if Best Picture is within its sights. And
Mhm.
I think it's by far the dullest of the three that we've talked about.
Yeah, I
And
absolutely
I
agree.
feel this kind of a dichotomy within me, where I wouldn't be surprised if the film won. You know, but against this incredibly diverse lineup, I think that would be a massive upset.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. And even if it is a Netflix production, like you said, Hollywood loves films about itself. Even if it is criticizing their itself, it just loves that whole genre, doesn't it? And I think the fact that it's black and white, the Academy just eats that up, mate. They love it. They love Gary Oldman. I think that one is a bit definitely a big contender here. I think what's interesting as well with this lineup is, like we were kind of saying, there is sort of the odd that sort of superhero-y token film, and obviously with their absence here, these are more thought-provoking films, even though, like we said, we haven't seen all of them. From the ones we have seen, I think there's no big shocks for me, because from the ones that we have seen, I think they're all good. Maybe not best picture worthy in my opinion, but I think they're all good. Like sometimes with the Oscars, you would get a few nominations for best picture that you've seen. You think, I don't even think that's that good of a film. I'm surprised it got nominated for best picture, let alone a nomination at all. But I think here, from the ones we have seen, I think their quality. I think they're all very different from each other, which is interesting enough. It'll be interesting to see once we've watched the other five, especially like Nomadland and Judas and the Black Messiah, how different they are from the rest. Because I think that's certainly an issue the Academy's had recently, where a lot of the films are the same. They're, it's just a tale about these characters struggling, like this Hollywood-esque society. Obviously, like you've got your La La Lands there and stuff like that, which maybe isn't like a Hollywood tale, but it certainly has those themes about it where it has that kind of essence to it. And obviously,
Yeah.
you've mentioned those kind of stories. So I don't know. Do you think the films that we're going to be talking about in the future, do you think they are going to be different from each other, or from the plot, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think even genre-wise, Sound of Metal, is this I don't know if you've heard about it, have
I
you?
haven't, dude. I haven't, mate. If I'm honest.
It's a film about this drummer who starts to go deaf, and then him living with his girlfriend played by Olivia Cook. And quite honestly, I think the concept sounds fantastic.
It does, yeah.
I don't think its chances are great, when it comes to Best Picture, but it seems very different. This musical kind of film. I don't think we've really seen something like that. Because of course it's not a musical like La La Land was. It's about a musician, more in the vein of Whiplash, which came out in 2014. So we haven't really seen a film like this nominated in a long time.
Yeah.
The Nomadland is this Western type film, and I think it's another contender, because of its win at the Golden Globes, and the trend seems to be that whenever that wins the best film of the year, that tends to sweep the awards, in other
Yeah.
award shows,
Mhm.
and I've heard it's fairly impeccable directing wise, and it's more of a Western vibe. So I mean, it wouldn't normally be my kind of thing, but I look forward to seeing it nonetheless, because
Yeah.
I think it will be something very different.
Yeah. Definitely, Callum. Definitely, for sure, mate. Is there any other thoughts you'd like to say, mate, about the category?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No. So I suppose, mate, if I was going to ask you which film out of the eight do you think will? I'll ask you three questions. All right. What film do you
Okay.
think? What film do you think should win? What film do you think will win? And what films do you think got snubbed? So I'll let you
Okay.
answer that in any way you want.
So I think the answer to question three will be quite extensive. But
It will.
amongst these eight, I of course haven't seen all of them, but I think I know enough about them. Enough about the buzz and the critical reception, and
Mhm.
what the Academy goes for to sort of make an informed choice.
Yeah.
For will win, I think it will be Judas and the Black Messiah. Because I think the Oscars like history. They want to prove that they're I think they're trying to shake off a bad reputation right now. So I think they're probably going to go with uh, you know I think about 6 out of 8 of the films are no, five out of 8 are about non-white characters. So I think that's right. I think so,
Yeah.
or at least
A good
doesn't
percentage
feature
at least.
white.
Certainly a good
Yeah,
percentage. Yeah.
it's a healthy diverse mix, for I think 5 out of 8. So I think one of those five is probably within the biggest chance of winning, but Judas and the Black Messiah would be the one I'd bet on. Of those 8 that should win, hmm, I would probably say. See, I think we probably haven't seen the best of the 8. To be fair, I think Judas and the Black Messiah is probably the best film out of the 8. Nomadland is one of the most popular, but I don't think I'll enjoy it. Promising Young Woman was, a really difficult watch. I think Promising Young Woman is the best film of the 3 that we've seen, admittedly. So I think of those, I think that should win. And then when it comes to snubs, I came up with 3 that I would have chosen, and then I'll tell you which ones that I subbed out. For my lineup, I took into consideration hype, quality of the film, and the contribution to cinema. Like I didn't want to just pick films that I enjoyed. I wanted to recognize them as films that were worthy
Yes, of
and
course.
even ones that I didn't have the chance to see. So in place of the father, I chose Uncle Frank, which was a film that was released on Amazon Prime. I don't think that it actually met the theatrical release requirement. There's a certain criteria to be considered, but it did premiere at Sundance. So I don't really know whether that would make it legitimate. Like I say, but the film star is Paul Bettany, and I think he gives the performance of his career, and he's this like complete chameleon within the role. So that I think was probably my second favorite film of last year. The other massive snub was One Night in Miami, which I probably would have put in place of um I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Well, I would say I would replace Mank with this with this choice, which is One Night in Miami. You know, I don't have much to say about that film because it was just, to me, objectively the best film of last year. It was some of the most stellar performances I've ever seen. Oddly though, Leslie Odom Jr. is actually nominated for playing Sam Cooke in Best Supporting Actor, and to me, I don't think that he'll win opposite Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. But honestly, if you're going to nominate anyone for it, like to me, it should have been Eli Gorey as
Great.
Muhammad Ali.
Million
I
percent.
think he gave the performance of that film. But that to me was the biggest snub of the whole thing. And then my final choice for biggest snub, and I'm not sure what I would have subbed this in for. Maybe Minari, but I think that's probably just because I know nothing about it. It's sort of this like rural tale, and that doesn't really appeal to me. I think a more deserving candidate maybe would have been Marini's Black Bottom. Because I think this was another massive snub. Chadwick Boseman's performance is one of the greatest I've ever seen. It's one of the few films that was able to stick to the three unities of tragedy. The music is incredible, and like to me, Chadwick Boseman will win Best Actor. But he's the best actor in this amazing film that should have got recognition, I think.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. I love the way you sum that up there. I think that was absolutely great. And for me, to go back to, I suppose, the first question about which one should win. Obviously, I don't claim to be an expert in any of these films. Of course, I've only seen three of them. But for me, out of the three that I've seen, I think Trial of Chicago 7 was probably my favorite out of the three. I think it was the best made. Mank was the real surprise for me here. I look back at Mank, I think it's a very well constructed film, very well acted. But was there anything special about it that we haven't seen before? Not particularly, really. There's been a lot of it's a very generic tale these days of the old Hollywood and the 50s and 60s and the 40s and things like that. So I'm not too sure, but I think for me, should win Trial of Chicago 7. Obviously, we reviewed it in the last podcast episode. Amazing performances, a real thought-provoking narrative with some amazing actors and some amazing performances. And I'm glad. I think Sacha Baron Cohen did indeed get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, I believe, which is always
Do
nice.
you
And
think he's in any way the best performance in that
no,
film?
well, I had sort of said that again, I forgot his name. The defense lawyer in that was by far
Yeah,
the
Mark
best.
Rylance.
Would you agree? Would you say he would be more notable than Sacha Baron Cohen?
Oh, Mark Rylance, 100%. But to me, I said that Jeremy Strong was probably the standout for me.
Yeah,
But I
Jeremy,
mean,
Jeremy Strong's
Sacha
quality.
Baron Cohen, like his entire performance was, a bad accent. The dialogue is obviously fantastic, and that's no
Yeah,
surprise with Aaron Sorkin, who's like the god of the screenwriters. But
yeah.
I think Sacha Baron Cohen, admirable performance. But like among that ensemble, I feel like anyone probably could have got nominated, and it would have been just.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. I mean, Jeremy Strong was quality. I think for me, what will win, I'm again not an expert by any means, but I think obviously the Golden Globe and the Academy, they have a very close link, don't they? With if you do well in the Golden Globes, you'll probably do well in the Oscars. So I probably say Nomadland. It's kind of like the Irishman or the La La Land of this year. I would say it's got the most buzz around it. It's got the most hype. Obviously, I think we also have a Frances McDormand nomination here for Best Actress. Typically, our Frances McDormand films, they do really well. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, I think was a huge winner a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And that was a film that she was integral in. So I think anything with her has a great chance. She's one of the goats. So I probably say that will win. In terms of snubs, I've got a similar list of three, two of which you'd mentioned. I'll get them out of the way now. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. What can I say about that one? You've said everything really amazing. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman is winning that. If he doesn't, there's something seriously wrong. Um, the other one you mentioned there was One Night in Miami. My favorite film of the year for sure. I'm amazed it didn't get nominated for Best Picture. I think that's a disgrace. Honestly, like that is ridiculous. And I think for me, even though this definitely did not meet the cinematic requirements for entry here, but it's a bit of a weird shot, and you might criticize this. You'd definitely be in your right too. I actually thought a really thought-provoking film this year was The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. I thought it was a really
Okay.
beautifully told story about it flipped the genre really for me because it was more of a romance tale between teens rather than sort of a solo story of a character in a time loop. So I thought it was a certainly a very different film, and even though it didn't, I don't think it released in cinemas, given that it was an Amazon Prime original. I thought it was absolutely immense, mate. I loved it, and I think for me it's interesting, buddy, because we've got a lot of overlap here between other. We'd said this before many times in this video. There's a lot of overlap between the films here nominated for Best Picture and other nominations. And I think maybe an honorable mention for me anyway, in terms of maybe not Best Picture, but I really enjoyed Soul. I thought it was a really, really
Hmm.
smart film. Obviously, got nominated for Best Animated Feature as well. So I don't know. It's just a wee honorable mention there. I don't think it maybe deserves Best Picture, but maybe a couple more nominations I think would have been.
I think it's just the it like an animated film. I think just can't be the best picture.
Yeah,
I think it is
I think that
just
is.
best
Yeah.
best live action picture.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. Map of Tiny Perfect Things is a fantastic film. I doubt it probably appeals to the Academy, but
Yeah.
so sometimes they just don't know good cinema when they see it.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Considering the fact that One Night in Miami got completely snubbed. I mean, I just I'm confident that we'll get all five of the remaining watched before the
I
Oscars.
think so.
But I
I
can't
think so.
imagine seeing The Father and thinking, wow, yeah, they really should have kicked One Night in Miami off for this.
Yeah, yeah, I know, mate. It was such an impeccable film, and I'm looking down here on things that it was nominated for. Obviously, you had mentioned Best Supporting Actor for Leslie Odom Jr. Even though we had sort of said he was very good there, but Eli is Eli Gorey? Did you say was
I think so, yeah.
yeah, he was yeah, he's phenomenal there. I'm just gonna have a wee brief look, mate, if that's okay. Just films that we've reviewed on the
Mm,
channel that were nominated for other
yeah.
categories. Obviously, we've mentioned Mac. David Fincher got a Best Director nomination there, very interesting, and so did Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. So it's nice to see that that film's getting a lot of attention and merit there. Again, Best Original Screenplay, Promising Young Woman, and Trial of the Chicago 7. So a lot of overlap
Mhm.
there again. And then, of course, we have Best Animated Feature, Onward, which I kind of forgot we reviewed in our final episode of the Pixar
It's
series.
a stinker.
I'm amazed. Like, I mean, that's what I was saying, mate, off podcast. There is a lot of films here that they just don't have enough nominations for a category. So they've nominated Onward and Shaun the Sheep, the movie. You know what I mean? That's silly. That just ruins its credibility for me. But Soul got a nomination in there, which is nice to see. And
It's gonna win, 100%.
well, yeah, I think so. One thing that kind of surprised me, mate, there was no nomination for. Obviously, I maybe didn't expect this, but like for best international feature or best effects, there was no Space Sweepers.
Mm.
Bit upset about that. I thought the effects were very, very good.
Yeah, I suppose maybe it just didn't meet the criteria. I'm not really sure what the criteria is this year because I know they changed it, to be considerate of the pandemic because of course you can't have the same theatrical run, when cinemas are shut.
Yeah,
So I
that's
I
true.
know the criteria is different this year, but when it comes to international film, like why is it that Parasite was like is that a new award for this year? Like I'm not sure because why was then Parasite in the best
Yeah.
picture
Yeah, that's a good
category?
choice. I
If
think it was a Korean film itself, wasn't it? So and it won
yeah.
Best Picture last year. That's a good shout, actually.
It won Best Picture, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I feel like I haven't heard best. It was a Best International Picture.
Yeah, because I usually thought it was maybe classified under Best Foreign Release or something, but Best International Feature sounds weird to me. It doesn't. That's the first time I've maybe heard of
I've
it.
never heard
Maybe
that
maybe
before.
that's my ignorance. I don't know. But anyway, in regards to there was a couple nominations here in Best Effects that we had reviewed. So there was Love and Monsters got a nomination, which I'm happy about. I thought that was a nice
Oh,
film.
really?
Yeah, yeah, it got a nomination for Best Visual Effects, along with Mulan and
Oh.
Tenet, which we reviewed. So I'd be happy if Love and Monsters won that. I'd be delighted for the film if it did, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, but that
I
really
mean,
surprised
didn't
me.
the third act of Mulan look like shit from memory?
Yeah, and it's interesting to note here as well, a similar category to effects, costume design. Emma got nominated, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank,
Hmm.
and Mulan. Four of the five films that we had reviewed. I think that's one we could probably talk about. What had the best costume design to you? Because for me, there is one clear winner here. So there is.
For me, it would be Mank, simply because Amanda Seyfried. I think if Amanda Seyfried doesn't win, I think she's in Best Supporting Actress that category.
Hmm.
I think she should win that category. She was spectacular, and
Hmm.
I think her wardrobe was incredible. So that'd be the winner for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I was actually surprisingly, although I can definitely, see where you're coming from there. I actually thought Emma did a really good job with the
Hmm.
costumes there. That was a good shout. And it's interesting to see Emma got another nomination there for makeup and hairstyling. So I think that's one I could do well with. I mean, I'm literally looking through the list here, trying to find One Night in Miami, looking for a nomination here. It is a
I know it
that
had
is
best song for Speak Now, which is 100% deserved. Like I hope it wins
yeah.
that because that song's incredible. But
Hmm.
I mean, do you not think that Leslie Odom Jr.'s performance was more his musical performance was the incredible part of it, not his acting performance?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think in terms of supporting actors in the film, Eli Gorey was by far more impressive to me, and I think his was more of a musical performance. Leslie Odom Jr. I mean, than an acting. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
curious nomination, but I think maybe because that film was so Sam Cooke focused for a lot of it. Obviously we had kind of mentioned it last podcast. Jim Brown was sort of left on the sidelines. Muhammad Ali, obviously there's been a lot of cinematic tales about him, so I think maybe the Academy kind of thought Sam Cooke hasn't really had his time to shine in the cinematic spotlight, so we'll give that nomination. That being said, I'm amazed that didn't got nominated for more. I mean, I'm looking here, Callum, for like the lead nominees. Mank got 10 nominations. That's four more than any other film. Do you know what I mean? That is weird. It's a very good film.
yeah.
I mean, we spent a good 40 minutes talking about it. Not sure if it's 10 nominations worthy though. you know?
I mean, I suppose it's just that in pieces, every piece of it is very respectable, but when it
Yeah.
comes together, it's kind of like, yeah, that was all right. Like
Yeah.
the
Yes.
acting's incredible, it looks incredible, it sounds incredible, the costumes are incredible, but then it's like a good film.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think so. I think so. One film that I'm actually really surprised. Usually the Academy love this kind of stuff. Malcolm and Marie kind of got sidelined a little bit. Didn't get nominated at
Thank
all.
God.
I don't think. I know. We weren't maybe the biggest supporters of that film, but I think part of me was thinking, even though we didn't really like it, it was kind of the thing
Yeah,
that the Academy loved. So that for it not to be nominated
yeah.
was strange to me.
Black and white again, talking about Hollywood in itself,
Yes.
and
Yes.
if anything, it's fighting back against critics, so I mean, Hollywood would probably be up for that, because of course the Academy is made up of some actors, so I'm sure
Yeah.
they would they'd like to see critics taken down a peg or
Yeah,
two.
you think so? You think so? And I assume because Ryan the Last Dragon came out like a week ago, it wasn't available for Best Animated Feature.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it missed the cutoff.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But mate, do you have any other concluding thoughts and just the Academy Award nominations in general, mate?
Genuinely pretty satisfied with it. I think that this is a very weird year for us because we normally have seen 1 out of 8, but this year we've actually seen three, and we plan to watch all of them. So I mean it's quite an involved year for us.
It
So I
is,
mean
yeah.
it's surprising, but every film that we reviewed and watched and enjoyed has been nominated. With just a few notable snubs. So I mean, it's not as egregious, in regards to like the snubbing as normal. It's a very diverse
Yeah, yeah.
lineup. But I mean, it's very easy to piss people off with this lineup if you then construct this diverse lineup and then let pick Mank.
Yeah. Oh, for
If
sure, Callum.
like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that'll be a big upset. I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely, dude. And I think potentially for the future of the channel, mate, I think there's definitely a possibility of, I'd love to do a best Oscar snubs film podcast where like we just look at films that
Hmm.
were just absolutely disregarded in the Oscars and just review them. Because
Can I throw out one example?
yeah, go. What are you gonna go
Well,
for?
I mean, of course, like Taxi Driver was nominated in the same year the Rocky won for Best Picture.
Serious?
Yeah, yeah.
76? Fuck,
Rocky
fuck
beat
me,
Taxi Driver.
dude. Rocky's
Both
fantastic,
great films,
but
but
Taxi Driver's a level
Rocky's not
above. You know what I mean?
Rocky's not as good.
No, not at all. But I think one thing about this year, or the last few months, certainly on the channel, like we've been focused a lot more on those kind of Academy-esque films, and I'm actually really enjoying watching some of the classics. Obviously, you mentioned Taxi Driver there. I've really enjoyed watching some of the old school ones. You know, like your Taxi Drivers, your Alfies, your Godfathers and stuff. Like some of the real old school Academy award winners and nominees. So I'm looking forward to watching the other five of this year just to see. And obviously, like you said, mate, we'll definitely do an updated video of me having watched the other five films. You know, where do our thoughts stack up now? And obviously, by the time we do that, the winners will be announced. You know, and I think it's always usually it would be around mid-February, wouldn't it? But I suppose with COVID, it has been delayed. Do you know when is it April 25th? I read somewhere, or when is it?
Yeah, nailed it, Matthew.
Nailed it. Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
mate. Thanks. Yeah.
You know,
So
I think for us it'll be the 26th by then, but I think that's just
yeah.
because of the time difference.
Yeah, so just over a month. I mean, that gives us plenty of time to watch the other
Mm.
five films. So it does. And I mean, yeah, that wraps up my thoughts, mate, on the Academy Award nominations this year. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think my should win will definitely fundamentally change. You know, I think Promising Young Woman, like there are honestly, you know, I think even once we watch all six of them, there's probably going to be sorry, watch all eight of them. You know, I think there's going to be three that we would say are going to be like a toss up of who really deserves it. You know, I think
Yeah,
Promising Young Woman is very likely to deserve it. You know, because it's such an amazing film. I think Judas and the Black Messiah will be incredible. You know,
yeah,
I won't be surprised if my shift change. You know, my choice shifts to that. But also Nomadland, you have to respect like its popularity,
of course you
and
do.
you know
You do.
its
You do.
buzz.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not down to us and what we like. You know, it's what's the popular vote. You know that does take some consideration into it. So I would say those three, once we watch all eight of them, are probably going to be the big contenders.
Yeah, and you know, part of the reason why I love the Oscars, like the first 3 months of a year, they're always my favorite time of year. Obviously, our birthdays for a start, but also when
Mm,
the Academy Award nominations get out. Like I remember a couple of years ago when Logan got nominated, I was like just hoping it got nominated for something. Granted, like I was way more obsessed with it then than I was now, but when it got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, buddy, I was so happy. You know, and it's just when the Oscar nominations, that day is always a really special day for me because I just love, we're big movie fans. I just love scrolling through the movies, seeing which ones I've seen, getting excited about it. And I think as more and more time goes on, I think I'd love to go watch some of the classics like Moonlight and Parasite and things like that. And obviously, on the channel we've reviewed a lot more in 20 we've read a lot more classic Oscar films in 2020, like starting off with obviously with our musicians episode. I think we must have did Whiplash, which was a big back in the day, and
mm.
obviously most recently with Voices, Birdman, and things like that. So I absolutely love this time of year. Like it's good to watch some classic films, mate, and I think it's definitely going to inspire me to go back and watch some of the good ones from recent years. What about you?
Yeah, I've been cultivating a must watch, sort of movie bucket list. And a lot of the best picture nominees and winners are featured there. So if we can,
For sure.
slowly work our way through those kind of, must see movies, I think we'll have a
Yeah,
great time.
definitely, mate. Anything from you to say, mate?
No, nothing else from me, Matthew.
No, well, thanks very much for your time today, Callum. This is
Thank
for
you.
anyone listening at this stage. This was a bit of an impromptu video for us because we
Yeah,
just kind of decided to do it on the day, which was nice. It was nice, and yeah, luckily I don't think we talked about it for too long. I'm unsure
yeah,
this will remain a pod. I mean, it's definitely not a podcast, which is, I suppose, that's good. but um,
yeah.
but yeah, thanks very much for today, everyone. And Callum, hope you guys are all well, your family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care and bye bye.
Bye bye.